Hey YouTube, welcome back to the Obi-Thorin Alliance. What are we doing today, Jacob?
We're doing our top 5 pet peeves in no particular order.
So stick around and see what 5 of our each pet peeves are. So we decided to do this because we were inspired by Movie Mike's podcast and YouTube channel. So shout out to Movie Mike. He basically he called it his top 10 things that twist his nipples, which we found the name quite funny. And we've decided to instead do 5 things in no particular order that are peeves opposed to twisting our nipples. So do you want to kick us off first, Jacob? What's one of the 5 things that annoy you in movies?
So I guess the first one would be new character or the one that has powers or whichever situation, male or female, go through no training, no nothing, but is naturally good. Basically a Mary Sue character. I just find it frustrating. Look, I get in this world people are just naturally gifted at everything, but sometimes I prefer when the character actually has to learn and go through the hard motions of learning things. I find it annoying when the character just doesn't have to do that and even defeats someone that has been like a trained warrior and then just, yeah, that's something that frustrates me.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like as well, that made me think in movies where the hero has to get these powers and learn to use their powers, yet the villains seem to have more powerful powers easier, or they build them, but the hero always seems to learn to use their powers better and win. Evil always loses. So with mine, I've gone, one of them is characters that never seem to make plans. Like they'll be out on the town where someone goes up to another person, might be in a bar, and they try and pick them up and say, oh yeah, like I'll take you out on a date. Oh, what are you doing Tuesday? Yeah, I'm free. Okay, I'll see you then. They don't exchange phone numbers. They don't pick a location. They don't pick a time. And then somehow they show up and they go on this date. I know that maybe movies do that because if you're more specific and you give a phone number or you say, oh, okay, we'll meet at this place at this time, they kind of then people will pull them up if it's not perfect to what they say. Like they say, oh, we're going to meet at 5 o'clock, and they're like, oh, well, it's not quite dark enough at 5 o'clock in this movie, so they just don't put a time on it. Maybe that's why, but it just seems odd, because that's not what happens in real life. You know, you at least change numbers or find a way to connect. So that's a pet peeve for me.
Next one is when the sequel, when the writers create a reason for there to be a sequel or anything, and we either don't get that sequel or the sequel is just terrible. For me, I prefer it when the writers finish the first one and then the sequel is well deserved. The reason why they do that though is to make money. That is something that frustrates me, unfortunately, yeah.
So another one for me, which you're going to see a lot of, is related to horror films. Horror films are really easy to pick on. So one for me is, I feel like in horror films, the characters always seem to have no peripheral vision or are just terrible at hearing. There's someone getting stabbed in the room with them and they don't hear them. Or there's a fight going on next door and they don't know. Scream's one that comes to mind. I really enjoy the Scream franchise, but in not the most recent Scream, which I think is Scream 6, so in Scream 5, there's right at the end, there's 2 fights going on, and then like when one concludes, the other one goes and helps the other fight, but they're literally right, like almost in the same room. Like one's in the kitchen and the other one's in the dining room attached, but like it seems like they've ran a mile to get there, but they would have like bumped into each other. They're literally that close. Doesn't make sense. So horror films always seem to, they don't see what's going on or they don't hear the person getting murdered next to them. So for some reason people are deaf and can't see in horror films.
So my next one is writers appealing to the fans to make genders or females, male, appeal better instead of actually sticking to the source material, like casting a black African male or female instead sticking to the source material. I think it's better to write for the story instead to the gender. I think that's something that annoys me. It's like with J.K. Rowling now saying that Harry Potter is black African American or a different race now. It's like we know Harry is a male that's white, different things like that.
Yeah, I think one that comes to mind is The Little Mermaid coming out soon.
Yeah.
That's a popular cartoon series and tale that kids have grown up to love. And suddenly, for the sake of diversity, we've gone from a pasty-skinned girl with red hair to now on a black skin. And it's like, well,
Why?
are you to be more accepting or more diverse? Are you not just discriminating against people with red hair? Because I don't think people with red hair are very represented in films. So you're just picking one over the other. It's just easy to keep things the same, if you ask me. Like it's not racist if she's got red hair. You don't have to change. It's not racist if you don't change the story. Like keep it the same. But that's for another day. For me, guns and ammo and shooting. I know this is kind of like two things, but I'm going to clump it into one. I'm going to say guns in movies. The ammo never seems to run out. Everyone can seem to pick up a gun and be good at it straight away. And they don't seem to miss. Occasionally films will chuck in there missing, but most of the time it's like headshot, headshot, headshot. I know this isn't a movie, but I think of The Walking Dead. I swear they never miss. They honestly, every time they're shooting zombies, they just go bang, another one in the head, another one in the head. And the same in the Last of Us TV show. They just don't seem to miss. I know a movie's got to be fun, but add some realism. Miss, that's fine. Let them miss.
My next one is, unfortunately, writers in movies always write for the hero to win the day. I would actually like writers to take more chances and make it that the villain always win. We always see it James Bond films and other films and things. The villain always disappears or gives the hero opportunity. I'd like it to be more realistic, and I know if it's too realistic, there wouldn't be a movie, but just the villain to win and see the outcomes of that. Like maybe a film that we get to see the villain winning and then the hero's brother or something taking revenge, like different things.
Gone with inappropriate food quantities. I've noticed this more and more in film. Be 5 people at a table and they'll show up with one pizza, and then there'll be like half the pizza left afterwards, and it just doesn't add up. I know they don't need to physically see them eating it, but again, you look at that and you go, that doesn't make sense. Like I know this is animated, but I noticed it straight away in the Super Mario movie. So early on, Luigi and Mario, they're in the diner and they're talking to, I think it's their old boss. And he goes, oh, how's your new business going? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I've got to go. He's a big, massive dude and he's eaten one piece of pizza. It's like, why did you even order? Like, what was the point of eating? Like, going to a restaurant and paying money if you ate one pizza and left, and you didn't even take the leftovers. So, inappropriate quantities or, like, the way they think people eat, it doesn't make sense to me in movies.
When people with end credits thing, when there's no outcome to them, it's kind of with Marvel and things like that, end credits things. I do enjoy them, but when they become nothing, it's kind of waste of time. And I think end credits things need to be earned and have hype for the next movie, not just something to waste your time. I think earn the end credits thing.
Yeah, I think they're overdone. I think you expect them now, the fact that there's a mid-credit and an end credit scene. Just show it at the end of the movie. I know the reason is because they want you to sit around, sit through the credits and supposedly watch the credits, and then those that are acknowledging the credits get their acknowledgement. People aren't reading the credits. They're chatting, they're on their phone waiting for the end credit scene, or they're looking for the really silly names or like funny names. Like no one's actually acknowledging it. Just give the people what they want. Show the end credit scene straight away and get out. You don't need to sit there and watch the credits. So my last one I've gone with in horror films. I think so. Characters in horror films always doing the one thing that no one would do. Oh, there's a killer on the loose. Oh, let's go have a party. Let's walk the street at night. No one would do that. If there was a killer on the loose in your town, you'd be leaving or locking your doors. They don't seem to worry, or they just do, oh, there's a killer somewhere around the house. Oh, you wait here. I'll go look for him. It's like, you wouldn't. If that was to happen, I was with my friends, I'd be like, we're not going anywhere. You're staying here or we're going together. Like there's no separating. But horror films, they always do the one thing that no one would actually do in that situation.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, you're awesome and keep being awesome. Like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.